What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Chris Jack, back with another one. The Canvas Nomad, of course. Today I want to talk about potential scams you can run into across abroad. This, I think, is a very important thing to know, because if you travel and you try not to do it as safe or conservative as just going to a resort, you actually go off the beaten path, you will be scammed. That's just part of the game. You will be scammed. I don't know anybody that hasn't been scammed even on the smallest level. So I just want to sit here and tell you some ways that you can be scammed and to watch out for them, because again, it is very prevalent. Now, there's 3 ways that you're going to be scammed. Those are the main ways that I can think of right now. There are other ways too, but most people aren't really going to run into those situations because you're not in those situations often. But 3 ways that you're going to be scammed is, and I'm just doing this off the top of my head, I don't have notes, so pardon me if I leave things out, but you're going to be scammed in the nightlife. That's a given. How? Well, mainly I would say this really goes towards men. When you bring a female into the equation, possibility to get scammed. I would say transportation, definitely transportation, and lastly I would say shopping. I'm not the biggest shopping enthusiast when it comes to going overseas. I'll just say that now. So I don't have too much knowledge in that area, but I can see how, if you don't know how to negotiate, that can be a way to be scammed, where you'll pay more for something than a local would, you know? Especially if you're getting it from a street vendor. If you go to like the mall or like a regular place, you won't get that. So let's start from transportation. Transportation is an easy way for you to get scammed, because they have so many ways of scamming you that you don't even realize. So first of all, I personally do not take any kind of transportation unless I have a ride-hailing app on my phone. Example, we have Uber in the States, they have Grab in Asia, you know, they have even Bolt in Thailand. I really like Bolt. In Philippines, they actually have a lot of them. You can't use a motorbike from Grab in Philippines, so you're kind of forced to download one of these other ones. In DR, they had I forget the name of the ride-hailing app, but they had, like, definitely in DR use that. I know that now. I didn't know that when I was in DR. And through Latin America, I'd say Uber works. Uber's also in DR, but because I guess the drivers feel like the price is too low, they will message you and say, hey, I will pick you up for this amount of price. But as long as you guys discuss that ahead of time, you know, it is what it is. But the reason why I say transportation is because you have certain cabs that have meters. They have meters that'll show you how much you're supposed to pay. And by default, it makes sense, right? So you're gonna get into the cab, you're gonna see the meter go up, and you're gonna be like, okay, that makes sense to pay. And you're not gonna know, especially if it's like day 1 in that country, you're not gonna know. So what I would say is those meters sometimes can be manipulated. So for example, sometimes they don't start at 0. They're always supposed to start at 0. Sometimes they don't start at 0. Sometimes you can be in a meter and it's going faster than it should. Sometimes you'll be in a meter and it's supposed to be going by distance, not by time. So I've been in situations where I'm in a cab and I'm sitting at a red light looking at the meter go up, and I'm like, wait a second, we're not moving. Why is the meter going up? That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So just pay attention to those things. This is why I like ride-hailing apps, because ride-hailing apps, you know exactly what you're going to pay for because it's coming up in the app before you even call for the taxi, right? Sure way number 1, I remember being in the Philippines and I was at the airport. Now, I had just landed, and I wanted to get to my to my Airbnb. And I had called Grab. I had used Grab. I had called the Grab. And I remember the Grab being like 250 pesos or something like that, right? It was almost 300 pesos. So let's just go with that. And then when you land in an airport, I don't care what airport it is, especially in Asia, you land in an airport, you're going to get a lot of cab drivers just, hey, taxi, 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 you know what I mean? Even in Latin America, you're going to get it. And they they were just very aggressive with it. And I kept telling them, no, I'm good, I got a Grab, blah, blah, blah. But the Grab was taking a very long time to come. It was saying that it would be here in 3 minutes, and it was like 8 minutes later, and he was still in the same spot. I didn't understand. And he had like circled around. And so I reached out to one of the taxi guys, and I was like, okay, if I were to take you, how much would it be? This guy looked me in the face and had the nerve to tell me 1,500 pesos. Now remember, I told you in Grab it was almost 300. So this is 5 times the amount. 5 times the amount. Why would I get involved in that? You get what I'm saying? Like, why would I pay 5 times the amount for something that I can pay the regular price for? It doesn't make sense. But they will do that to you, and they'll come up with a reason. Like, I remember showing him, I was like, yo, in Grab it's like this, and he was like, well, because Grab has this, that, and the third, we have to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it still doesn't make sense why I gotta pay 5 times the amount. You know what I'm saying? So transportation, easy way to get scammed, use a ride-hailing app. I'm telling you right now, because you don't know the area. So like at home, you know how much a cab would cost because you're from there. Overseas, even in Cambodia, I remember one of the tuk-tuk drivers tried to, you know what I mean? They tried to take advantage, and I was like, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not doing that. And then, you know, you're in a situation where maybe you want to leave right now and the cabs are right there. And if you call a Grab or an Uber or whatever, it's going to take some time and you want to go home now. I don't know the point of not waiting like 5 minutes, but it is what it is. You want to go home now? You better pull up your Grab or Uber or whatever it is and see the price. So now you have negotiating power when you go to that taxi and he tells you an outrageous price and you're saying, no, I won't do it for more than this. And then you guys can negotiate the price, because you're gonna have to negotiate. Second, I will say shopping. Shopping is a sure way that I can understand. If you don't know how to barter, you're gonna get scammed. Definitely, you're gonna get scammed, because as a tourist, first of all, like I get souvenirs. That's why I know a little bit about it. But it's not like I'm there. It's not like I go traveling just to see what I can buy in these places. I feel like that's more of a female trait. So this probably worked towards females. I'm sure there's guys that go out there and shop for clothes and a whole bunch of stuff. That's not me. But most of the time when I talk to travelers, usually it's the females saying they're going out shopping. So this might work for you guys. When you're shopping, what I would necessarily do is go to like I would go to a mall, or like the vendors gonna have the better stuff. Don't get me wrong, because they're most likely handmade. You want to support the local economy. Like, I get it. But if you don't know how much something is, or bring a local with you, so that when you go shopping, it's like almost shopping for a car. You want to bring somebody that knows cars, so that they can tell you, oh, something's wrong with the engine, don't buy that, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of the same thing with these vendors. You wanna potentially bring a local with you, so that when you do shop, either you can barter, or you can have them barter for you. But you're gonna have to negotiate. You're gonna have to negotiate, because they're always going to, you know, shoot for the stars to land on the moon. Like that's how they are, and it makes sense. That's how they survive. And generally, you know, as a foreigner, you know, they're going to see you as this rich person, so they think, it's not gonna hurt you to pay a few extra dollars for something that, you know, a local over there can get at a much cheaper price. I remember being in Cambodia buying a magnet. I usually buy magnets for my fridge, so I could just see the places that I've been. And this one magnet, I remember it was like $5, and I was like, that's crazy, but whatever. Now the magnets ranged from $3 to $5, but the magnet that I wanted was $5. So I just like to do this. I like to see the intention behind the vendor. So I will be like, hey, if I were you, which magnet would you buy? And of course he points at the most expensive one because that's the one he wants me to buy, right? I do that everything. I do that with food. I do everything just to see what the person's gonna say. I just checking the temperature. And I personally wanted the one that was $4, and I think I did buy the one that was $4, but I wanted to see what he would say. So, or I might have spent the one that was $5 for $4 or something like that. But I like to see what they say. So when you're in those situations, they're gonna give you if the price is not listed right there, don't buy it. Don't buy it, don't buy it, don't buy it. And even if the price is listed, say, hey, something like, oh, I only got this much money, will you take it for that? You know what I mean? Like, you almost got to play their game to a certain extent. It's kind of sad, but, I mean, unless you just want to pay what you see, like, if you feel like the price that's listed is a good deal and it is what it is, then do your thing. But you almost got to play their game. Oh, I only got $4. I know it's $5, but I only got $4. Would you take it for that? At the end of the day, you're probably, if it's a vendor, you're probably they're not going to have that many sales for the day, so they're going to want to take what you offer. And normally the price that's listed is probably a dollar or two, depending on what it is, a little higher than you're supposed to pay. Now, a dollar or two is nothing, but if you're paying $5, $10 more, it is what it is. Let's go back to the taxi situation. When I was in DR, before I knew about the ride-hailing apps that's specifically for there, I met this driver, and I met him on Uber, and he told me from here to here is the Uber told me like 150, and I went through Reddit and I saw that a lot of the drivers aren't going to take you for the price. So when he said this to me, I was already privy to it because I went on Reddit and I saw a lot of travelers saying this about DR. So when he said it, I was like, okay, that's 100 pesos more. I'm not too mad about that. It is what it is, right? Then one time, I kind of figured I could trust him, so I took his number and I just used him as my taxi. He helped me out, and I confronted him about this situation. He actually gave me 3 free rides, so it worked out. But in this particular situation, I remember just driving right around the block. I didn't know it was around the block. He actually went all the way around to take me somewhere that he could have just went this way, and it was right around the corner. And the man told me 1,500 pesos. I paid it not knowing. You know what I mean? I paid it not knowing. And then one day I was filming, and I was walking on the Malecon, and I'm like, wait a second, this was walking distance from where I live. Like, how is this 1,500 pesos? You know what I mean? What is that, like $25? A little bit more than that? Almost $30? So I was just like, there's no way I just paid that to go, like, literally 10 minutes walking around the corner. 5 minute, not even a 5-minute drive. They will do that to you. It happens. It is what it is. You're just gonna get, like, you have to be careful. Last, I would say, again, the nightlife, necessarily more or less females, and this is more for men. You bring a woman into the situation, money is going to be involved. That's whether you take her out or you want to do, the pay for play thing, whatever the case may be, money's going to be involved in some way. Now, I remember personally, one time going in the Philippines, I was meeting up with this chick, and she told me a location, and I was like, cool. It was a rooftop bar. I was like, I only went to one before that, and I was like, I'll go. It's cool. Then all of a sudden, she said, hey, she showed up, and she was like, hey, this is my friend. She's in a situation. Do you think she can eat with us? You think they're paying for the bill? No. You think I'm gonna just have us two eat and the friend not eat? You know what I mean? So they know that they're using guilt in a way to have, and lust, I guess you can say, because now in your head you're like, oh, okay, now I got two females, who knows what happens, right? So now the third party came along, and now she just got a meal off of my ticket. Now again, the meals are very cheap, so it's not like it's hurting my pocket necessarily, but it could range. It could range. You don't know where. And she picked the place. I don't know what the prices of the menu look like. I have no idea. So I'm putting myself in a situation that I have no idea about. You know what I mean? You also have situations where you're just know that females are going to be a reason why you get scammed very easily, because they probably have a boyfriend who's in on it and wants to link up with you. They probably have a brother where I've seen some situations, or at least heard of situations, where the brother came along. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm with my brother right now. I can't leave him alone. Do you think he can join us? But really, it's the boyfriend. So you got to be careful with certain things like that. But the boyfriend wants your money too, so he's gonna be in on it and eat the food with you and this, that, and third. Now that's never happened to me, and it's never happened to any travelers that I know. But I've read it online so many times, so many posts on Reddit about that happening. Be careful. I remember being in DR where I was put in a situation where, now I'm writing a book on my solo travel adventures, so this story itself will exclusively be in that book. I won't put this on the channel or anywhere online, not even on my blog. So it's exclusively in there, but I'll touch on it just a little bit, where, you know, I went to a venue, and the venue kind of sold me on something that I tried. I was like, okay, I'm down to go to a party. And it ended up being the worst idea ever. But that was just because I was trusting them, you know? Again, that story will be in my book, so you will have to, you know, buy that to read about that, you know what I mean? If you want to hide something, put it in a book. This is not the best moment of my life, so that's what I'll do. But yeah, there was situations where it just didn't work out. I could also tell you, kids is another one too. Kids is another one. I'll say there's four. There's kids. Now, when you see a kid without shoes, shirt is dirty, hair is wrinkled, and they put out their money for money, you have to almost be soulless to be like, nah, I'm good. But you kind of have to. You kind of have to. When I was in the Philippines, I was in Intramuros. This is where I saw it the most in Philippines, in Intramuros. There'll be kids walking around barefoot asking for money. I'm talking about these kids are like 3, 4, 5 years old, like small. And I was at the St. Augustine Church, and this girl came up to me, and she just put her hand out. This girl was no older than four. She put her hand out. She didn't even say nothing. At least the kids before this said, hey, do you have money? Can I get some money? But this girl didn't even, she just put her hand out. So I swear to God, I might have spent money on, like, I might have donated, who knows, like 1,000 pesos to like 5 different kids while I was there. That's not a lot. It's like $20, right? But still, that's a lot, right? So at this point, those kids asked me for the money. This girl, she just put her hand out. Now, the group I was with, that had some locals, were saying, don't do anything, just keep walking, just keep walking. This girl walked with me at least 4 blocks. So eventually they were like, just give her a peso and she'll walk away. I was like, all right. I gave her like a coin of 20 pesos, but in coin, and she walked away. When she walked away, for some reason, I decided to look back to see what was going on. This girl put the peso behind a tree, then got her slippers, because she was barefoot, from behind a tree, These pink slippers looked like the cleanest slippers I ever seen. Then she put them on and she started playing with the other kids. Then some guy like yelled and was like, hey, something, something. She went over to him. They had a little conversation and she ran back playing with the kids. I was like, yo, I just got played. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Now, here's what I'll say. In Cambodia, I had a situation where the kids there on Pub Street, very aggressive, very aggressive. There was one little kid, he followed me like 8 blocks, just talking, you know, stuff like that. And I eventually gave him 1,000 real. That's like 25 cents. So he was happy, this, that, and the third. I even got into a situation where the next day I ended up buying food for like a group of them and some Coca-Cola, you know what I mean? But from what I understood is in those countries, it's illegal to give kids money there because it's an incentive for them not to go to school. I didn't know that. But like, you know what I mean? Like the kid comes up to me, I'm like, damn, I obviously got more than he has. Let me just give him a little bit. Let me give him something. So it just is what it is. You'll go into a 7-Eleven in Asia and kids will come up to you and they'll ask for money. They'll stand on the line by the cash register, and if the people at the store don't come out, I had this happen to me. And I remember one time my bag was getting heavy with all the change I had, so I remember just grabbing all of it, just giving the kid all of the change I had. And then I left the 7-Eleven, came out, and he was showing all the kids, oh, he had the coins and he was dropping on the floor. He did that, and like he basically said, I won the lotto, like, you know what I mean? And what's funny is he came in the store without shoes, and when he was doing that with the kids, he had slippers on. Be careful with the kids. It like outside of Cambodia, I haven't experienced this outside of Cambodia, where I feel like in Cambodia they're not acting. Outside of Cambodia, they're all acting. They're all acting. Don't fall for it. It is what it is. Be careful of scams. Be careful of scams. I'll even say, in terms of Airbnb, there was a time where I booked my stay for about 2 weeks, and then I was going somewhere else, but I needed a visa to enter that country, and I couldn't get it on arrival, so I had to come back to the Airbnb. I had asked the place to extend my stay, and now, don't get me wrong, I had gotten my Airbnb on a deal. So to be fair, it was $25 originally. It went down to $17, right? But when I extended, somehow it went up to $32 a night. And I was like, nah, I could have found another spot, but I was already comfortable. My stuff was there. So I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm just going to stay. But I didn't realize that that's what I was paying until I got the receipt. I extended on that trip twice, and both days the prices were different. Like the two prices together was almost half of what I paid for the 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And I had extended my stay for another week because they had told me it could take 3 days. So I originally bought 3 days. Then I extended 3 more days because it also said it takes up to 5 days. And I had gotten it on the 4th day, but I had already paid for the 2 more days. So I just stayed. Both times I extended, prices were different. And again, combining that was more than half what I paid for 2 weeks. And remind you, for 2 weeks, I got it at a reduced rate. So the fact that it was more than half of that didn't make sense in the fact, even if it went back to regular prices, I shouldn't be paying basically what I paid for 2 weeks for one. You get what I'm saying? So just be careful. Scams are very prevalent. Stay diligent. Just be careful. I had a list of scams in my head that I wanted to talk about, and I'm gonna start doing notes. I can see what y'all doing. But those are the most prevalent ones that I've experienced, and that was across everywhere I've been. You can go to New York. This is not just for foreign places. You go to New York, you go see Mickey Mouse. Take a picture with him. Take a picture with him. Next thing you know, Mickey Mouse is gonna ask you for $20. He didn't say that before the picture, but after the picture, now you gotta pay $20. Scams are everywhere. Scams are everywhere. So just be diligent, be careful, and safe travels, happy travels. And if you made it this far in the video, you, my friend, are appreciated. It's your boy Chris Jack, signing out.